Hi, this is Scott with eTrailer. Today we're taking a look at and installing the eTrailer base plate kit for 2023 Jeep Wrangler 4xe. Your base plate is one of the 5 main things you're going to need to get set up for flat towing. You're going to need your base plate, you're going to need your tow bar, you'll need tow bar wiring, safety cables, and you'll also need some type of braking system. So we have our flat tow setup all installed on this, and you can see how this is going to look without your tow bars installed. This one actually hides away pretty nice, and we didn't really have to cut up a whole lot in the front end to get this one installed. The only thing really that sticks out on this one will be your breakaway switch, which really isn't a big deal. You could always just paint that black and that'll kind of hide it away. Other than that, everything pretty much hides behind our bumper line, so it doesn't stick out and really take away from the appearance of our Jeep. And another nice thing with this is how easy it is to get it hooked up. All you have to do is pop in your pins and get your pins slid through. Now all you have to do is just hook up your tow bar. And if you want to take those off and get those put away, all you do, quarter turn, pull that out, and you're good to go. Another thing I like about this base plate setup is it does come with a bracket. Sometimes you'll get brackets with a kit and it really don't work out real well, but this one lined up really good with some pre-existing holes and hardware we already had on our Jeep, so this one worked out really nicely. Other than that, one of the things you will want to do before getting your base plate set up is you're going to want to take a look at our fit guide and make sure your base plate is going to match up with the style of bumper that you have. So just make sure that you go through that really well and make sure you get your order correctly. Other than that, if you have any questions or comments about this base plate, you can always leave a comment below, or you can get a hold of us here at eTrailer and we'd be happy to answer any of your questions. Now, other than that, installation for this one is pretty straightforward. It really isn't super hard to do, and it really doesn't involve a whole lot of trimming of your fascia, and also another nice thing is you won't be doing a lot of drilling with this one either. So with that, if it's something you don't feel like doing yourself, you can always take a look at our dealer locator and get something done for you locally. If it's something you feel like taking on yourself, stick around, watch our video, and we'll help you get it installed. To start our installation, we're going to need to get our front bumper off of our Jeep today. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out, we're going to have 2 plastic clips in the top. We just want to get our pop clips pulled up. Just want to get our screwdriver under the little slot. Now just grab that and pull up. Now if the little end comes out, that's no big deal. You can always pop that back in and get our screwdriver under our clip and pop that out. Now underneath of our fascia, we're going to have 8 more different style pop clips underneath, and those are going to run all the way across the front. And we're going to use the same process. We're just going to get a screwdriver underneath of those. Just want to pop those out all the way along the front. Now that we have our clips out in the front, we'll have 2 8mm screws. We'll pop those out. With those out, now we can remove our cover. Now on the passenger side of our frame, we're going to have this little plastic clip. We want to undo that. That is going to be to our fog lights. Just push in on the little clip and pull out the end and just set that aside. Now on the back of our bumper, on each side, we're going to have 4 18mm nuts we're going to need to remove. You're going to have the 2 here and then 2 on the other side of our frame and the same on the other side. Just want to get all those backed off. Now these can be pretty tight and they seem to want to crank out almost all the way out, so just take your time and remove all of the nuts. One thing you want to keep in mind when you get down to your last nut on these, just back it out to where it's finger tight until you can have a good hold on it, or have somebody hold it up for you, so that way it don't just come falling off. And after you get to that, go ahead and back that last one off. Now once you have that last one off, go ahead and remove our bumper. These can be on there kind of tight, so you may have to wiggle it around a little bit. Now we can get our bumper set out of the way. Now on the outside of our frame, up here by where our bumper mount is, we're going to have this little bracket. That's going to be a 16mm bolt. On each side we want to remove this and set these aside, but keep our hardware because we will not be reusing this part. Now on the front of where our bumper mounts on, as you can tell when we pulled the bumper off, it's pretty tight. So since we're going to be adding our base plate and adding a bracket back here, what I like to do is just go through and try and clean these holes up a little bit. So that way when we put our bumper back in place, it's going to go back a little bit easier. Now in our kit, we're going to have these thicker washers. We're going to have 4 of these, and on each side of our frame, on the outside of it where we took that bracket out, we're going to want to tape these washers into the back of that. So I'm just going to take some clear tape and line it up with the hole in the front. Get that taped in place. We can either come back with a screwdriver or you can just put a pen through there, but I like to take a utility knife and just kind of cut around the inside of the washer just to get that tape out of the way. And I'll do the same on the other side. Now to get our base plate slid into place, all we're going to do is with the bolts that we removed that little bracket from, we're going to use those. We want to start from the bottom and kind of slide these up. Be careful of your washers and your tape. Line up those holes. Now with those lined up, let's get our factory bolt reinstalled on each side loosely. We're going to have our handle nut that comes in our kit, and we're also going to have our bolt. Now what we want to do is just take something and just get our holes lined up as good as we can, and maybe just put this in there and hold it there. That way it kind of keeps things aligned. Now we'll take our blue Loctite in our kit, and we are going to be using this on all of the hardware. After we get this one installed down here in this lower hole, we'll pull this bolt back out and we'll get some blue Loctite on that as well. Now with our handle nut, we're going to want our flat side to go towards the frame. We're just going to take some needle nose, and down in the bottom of our frame, we're just going to go up with our weld nut. Hold that in place. Take our bolt that comes in our kit, get that started. Now we can just snug that down. just snug. Now with that snug, we'll remove this upper bolt and we'll get some Loctite on that. Now we'll just snug that bolt down as well. And when you're snugging them down, kind of keep an eye on these. You may need to get those realigned as you're snugging them down. So just keep that in mind. Now we'll come back through and we'll torque down all of our hardware to the specifications listed in our instruction manual. If you don't have a torque wrench, you can pick one up here at eTrailer, or you can also take a look at your local auto parts store and you should be able to pick one up there. Now for our under fascia, or rock guard that goes underneath, you're going to have a template in the back of your instruction manual, and you're going to have a driver's side and a passenger side. And you're going to want to get that lined up according to the instructions, and you can tape that on there if you want, but what I did is just got it in position and just marked it out where everything's going to go. Now what you can do as well, depending on how you want to cut it out, is you can go around and you can drill into all of your corners, and that's going to help you get a saw in to go around. So if you want to do that, it's really easy to do because it's plastic. Let's go ahead and drill into your four corners. Now with that, you can come back through and use a jigsaw, or you could use whatever you need to get this cut. It's pretty thin plastic. It isn't really super thick, so it shouldn't be too hard. But what I'm going to use is a multi-tool. Basically, it's kind of like a reciprocating saw, and I'm just going to cut along my lines and get this all cut out. Now for our safety cables, what we want to do is make sure we get around our base plate. And sometimes running it up through the center is a little bit easier because it has a little give. Now I'll run my cable through, around. Now I'll take this portion of my cable, run it up behind, kind of above where my sway bar goes. I'll bring it back around. Now we'll take our supplied quick link and get that attached to both of our cables. One of the main things you want to have is make sure you're around your base plate and also around your frame, and that's going to give it some good added security. Now that we have our safety cables in place, we have a few more things we're going to need to get put on before we can get our bumper put in place. So if you have a braking system and you have your other wiring to do, it's a good time to just leave your bumper off and get started on those. Now that we have all of our trimming done, we'll go ahead and get our bumper put back in place. Now for our bracket, for our wiring, we have two holes right here in the front of our bumper, and I pulled the screws out and I lined it up, and that's going to line up there perfectly. So that's where we're going to end up putting our plug. So now in through that, we're going to need a place to run our wiring. So I marked in the middle of where that is, where the wires are going to go through. So I'm just going to take a 1-inch hole saw and carefully put a hole through that. And that's where we'll be able to run our wires. Now, before we get our bracket installed, we want to get all of our wires coming out of the hole that we just drilled. So we've got all of our lines coming through that we need. And we're also going to want to get figured out how we're going to mount up our breakaway switch. So we kind of just mock it up and see where we want everything to go. Well, I think what I'm going to end up doing is running my breakaway switch right here on top. And I'll go ahead and I'll get that bolted into place. All right. Now we have our breakaway switch mounted to our bracket. We have our bracket put in place. Now with that all tightened down, our bracket's installed. Now with all of our flat toe accessories installed and working, that'll do it for our look at and installation of our eTrailer base plate kit for 2023 Jeep Wrangler 4xe. I'm Scott with eTrailer, and thanks for watching.